So hello guys, once again, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm GM Mainly here, and let's get back to another episode of the Tuanalysis. The name sounds cool, right? But here I'm trying to analyze a viewer's games in depth, trying to explain what's going on, trying to talk about like the thinking process and the mindset of a GM, and also trying to answer questions from the viewers himself and also everybody in the chat. So hopefully you enjoy this series. I will try to explain slowly, and hopefully it is gonna benefit everybody of us. Sure. So let's start right away, and hopefully you guys can understand me well. So this is the game that, as you can see here, the viewers sending the game is Tuas FTW, and he is 800. He met another guy here with the name of Fuss Bucksham from Australia, and the game is 10 minutes, which is a rapid game, right? So let's try to explain things here, and let's try to kind of talk about things right away. So in the game, he played d4. His Australian opponent played e6. This one. Knight f3, which is a good move, and he played g6. Okay, this one I will stop here first. Although it is relatively not bad. In fact, it is considered to be somewhat risky and imprecise in the early level chess. As you can see here, now some of the dot squares here seems pretty exposed, right? And if white can find a way to exploit it, or find a way here to exchange the square bishops, these squares here can be really crucial. See, right? So obviously here black can just play like knight f6 or d5 or c5 or b6 or whatever. f5 is playable too, which leads to the Dutch. This one, in fact, sometimes is still seen in high level games, but it is rare, and for early level chess, I don't really recommend it. Apparently, you can still play, but like if you're ready, and if you are, kind of accepting what is going on and how things can be exploited, but it should not be easy overall. If you have any questions here, feel free to ask me, and I'm happy to answer it all. In the game, e4, great. Get a center, why not, right? In the game, g7 here, e5. Understandable, but a little bit hasty again. Now you want to go for the square, right? But here, black can play this move here to challenge your pawn instantly, so this one is a bit hasty. Normally you don't want to spend too many pawn moves in the opening. There are some situations, but only with, like, I would say, good effect. For instance, we got the only coin, which is like e4, here and here and here and here, right? So obviously, white spend plenty of tempo on the pawn, but he got some activities and some space. e5 here is not too bad, but it can allow d6 here, which makes things not so easy. Here I can guess you can just play bishop d3, castles, or can be c4 as well. And there are many ways here to look for some, space. And try and expand portion as well. Sometimes here, if you are somewhat a better player, you can even consider some ideas which is very nice. The Harry h-pawn attack, h4. This one, although it is not something simple, but it will be seen a lot by some good players. The idea here is to start attacking right away, and then put pressure on h-file. Sometimes you can even push upon on the way to h6, which weaken bishop even more. But as I mentioned earlier, this thing is not so easy, so it will be hard for you to play this one. You understand me, right? So here there are plenty of possible moves, which are unplayable. In the game, if I was playing d6, g5. Understandable? Exploiting the dark squares. And with tempo here, it's not a bad one to do at all. For me, this one is in fact understandable, but not too good. Since black can play knight 7 here, and this thing won't do much. You know, something that is hard in chess is that sometimes the move with tempo is not really good. Although we all know it is a good idea to develop with tempo, right? But it is only good here if your opponent needs to spend a tempo on it as well to something else. For instance, like this Scandinavian, right? So knight c3 here is always considered to be perfect. Then the queen must move another time, you know. But here, for instance, so bishop b5, you know. This can also be wrong here, since black can simply stop this one with c6, and then the tempo doesn't seem to do much for you. You understand me? So in the game here, this one is not too bad, but in fact, knight 7 here can solve most of the black situations. And now you can just play like here, and then your pawn if can be under pressure. So you are still fine, but not that easy here for you. I can simply recommend bishop d3 now, and now you got like, let's say, queen e2 defend a pawn, you know, because of next, and you will, like, you know, keep a good position here with some space initiatives. You understand me? In the game, play here. He play f6. This is actually fine, but you can see, right? It looks pretty odd. The pawn structures here seems quite rare, right? Like, it is only 5 moves of the game, and black spend 4 moves to play 4 pawns like this one, right? Which looks a bit odd, but obviously understandable as well too, since you want to go for tempo 2 as well. In the game, so you take with the bishop here, which is not so precise. This one, I would say it is a little bit like inaccurate. Here, the way to play is this one ef6. Since now, still got a pin, right? Still got a pin here, and things looks good for you. And the castle's here, queen e2, and the pin here still exists. This one here is wrong. First of all, black can take here with the knight, and he can obtain bishop pair, right? Which things look better for him. And second here, the bishop here is the one that is so developed. So exchange right away is something you don't want to do. There is not so famous like idea in opening, but it is as well. It's like you don't want to exchange developed pieces for the one that is undeveloped. You understand, right? So that's why here, take here is better. And now you can just like play the things again. Play like bishop here, right? Which is the thing you will do. You can play like h4 now, or playing here, which in fact lead to the game. But in the game, he can play like here, which is better for him. In the game, the black players take with the bishops, which is also wrong as well. Takes forcing, take with the queen. Once again, a little bit inaccurate. This move here is cone for, and it can develop fairly easily, right? The game queen is here, okay. Bishop b5. Yes. This one is another example here to tell you that this move here is not too good. The thing is simple. This move here can be stopped very easily. Like this one can only be nice if you can like benefit something from the provoke, right? Like now you basically provoke him to play c6, isn't it? And if you can be able to attack the pawn here, it's fine for you. But here you see, right? You just gain a tempo on that and doesn't do much for you. c4 good. So here I will recommend bishop d3 again, or bishop c4, putting pressure on the pawn here later on, which is a clear weakness. You understand? I'm trying to explain things pretty deeply and slowly as well. So if you guys have some questions or some way you don't understand, just feel free to ask me. No worries. Back to the game here. Should be 5 checks. Push. c4. c5. c5 is terrible here, honestly. dc5 good. Here, if you take here DC5, right? Just play like knight C3 here, developing, stopping these ideas as well. And the pawn here seems extremely weak, right? Also, knight B5 here seems to be super good too, honestly. Is it good for them to move the knight out to block the bishop's checks? So, well, I mean, I can say that. Like here, so he can play bishop b97 too, which is also fine. We can just play castles here and play here. As I mentioned earlier, so for me, this is simpler to deal with the bishop checks here. Since you can see here, you gain a tempo with the pawn push. And this pawn here will not be attacked so easily. This thing kind of, I think, solidify split positions. In the game, like went for something that is understandable, but objectively speaking, not so good. Queen b2. Okay, so now we lead to a really fun stuff here, when Europe here is kind of attacked, right? So here, the only way to defend the rook is knight d2, isn't it? And here, we have a thing for white, which is called development initiative, right? White is much ahead in development, and that leaves him in a really good situations. Let's explain briefly. Play DC5, right? Take the pawn. We can castles now. Finish our development here, or we can even play knight e4 instantly too as well. You see, right? Now only with our pawn, we got some extremely nice pressure on him, and now we can just play here, 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 and black will suffer to finish its development. Queen b4 seems nice, but then c3 can simply be done here. This queen c4 allow the fork, right? When it is winning on the spot. You understand? So knight e4 here can give you like a huge edge. Play here, just take here, you know, or no, actually you can do something easier. So now white to play, white to play. Can you tell me how can white win material in a fairly fundamental way? Every questions will, I will give you guys like 30 seconds to 1 minute per questions, so that you guys can like have time to think and try and figure out some ideas. Here in the game, in the line, black just play this move here in order to threat the knight on e4 and accelerated the development. But here, this is a mistake here, since white can win material. How to do so now? Okay, so here you can see, right? The queen on b2 is defending the knight from far away. But the queen is the only defender, right? And in this case, rook b1 win the game on a spot for white. It is a smart diversion. And now the queen is chased, right? And the only defender here is removed, isn't it? And here you can play here and you win a knight, isn't it? See, right? And white is still much better in development here as well. Okay, thank you, the red from GM Kanti. Hello, James. Welcome, Raiders. And I am GM Minley here, who is now doing the viewers games analysis. So feel free to join here and feel free to ask me questions if you want to, and highly appreciate it. It's the game here. So the game here like queen b2, guys. This one is good for you, and you can be able to obtain serious activities for the pawn missing, right? You understand? Yes, it's like a learning environment, obviously. Okay, you understand the ideas? I hope so, right? So here in the game, Toast shows different options and lists the game to something extremely fun. Queen d6. This one is not so wrong, but the game can now be extremely complex. You leave the rook hanging here, right? And you want to go for some kind of only attack, which honestly I will tell you not to. To be honest, if you couldn't see anything special, if you couldn't see any way to win on a spot, I will tell you not to go for this one. But you know, here is the game of 200 players, so literally anything can happen, right? So the game now enter a very fun part. Yeah, I think Knight 2 is simply easier here to play, and you can just castle here and enjoy like huge combination for the pawn here, which can be taken by your opponent. In the game, queen here is d4 better. D4 where? I mean queen d4, right? That is fine too, but I don't think you really want to go for the queen swap, especially when you are better in development. Knight d2 here is simply much simpler to do here, I believe. Back to the game, queen here, queen a1. And now white must have a precise follow-up. The only move now is castles. This thing now is extremely complex. White is down a rook, right? But the king here is very exposed, and black hadn't even developed a lot as well. So here I have a queen here, you know, defend a pawn. We can bring rook e1 here, for instance, taking the pawn here. Rook e1 is also playable as well. Queen here too. I will prefer rook e1 here. Go for his king instantly. As I mentioned earlier, the game will get extremely complicated. I can play queen e7 here for the trip. You can go queen e5 here or queen d4. I will say that this is something not too easy to play for this level, but you need to go for the threats, which is the only thing I can say. You understand? In the game, go for this one, which sadly is wrong. This looks extremely fun here, but sadly you don't have enough material to go for the attack, you know? You got a knight here which still can cover things, and sadly the queen and bishop here alone, they are not enough to make things work. That's the case. Back to the game. In the game here, so text can be one checks, e2. In fact here, this still requires, I think, a precision from black sides. Like here, for instance, if you play like queen h1, right? Play bishop here, and this is still gonna be so fun. Also, knight g5 can be played as well, and you see, right? Suddenly, there's some mating threats. In the game, still goes on. When in the game, he plays somewhat precise here. Queen c2, correct? Knight e2, bishop e6, precisely. And now this is already completely losing here. So here, queen here, and now black missed a very simple move. This one, although not too hard, but this needs to be remembered and memorized by some under 1000 player, since this is always a really good method to defend against checks. Knight 7 here will be winning for black. As you can see here, the knight somehow controlling on the checking square, right? So somehow now you couldn't even be able to go for check anymore. See that? And have no way to make progress. Black now can simply play knight bc6 here, rook d8, or queen f5 later on, you know. And now you don't have anything to support your queen, and the game is basically over. You understand? So here, the way of putting your knight in front of your king here is always a really, I would say, theoretical, but important way of defense that you need to remember in order to defend against the queen checks. You remember that? By the way, if I'm speaking too fast or if my analysis is not too clear, please tell me so that I can try and slow down a little bit. But obviously, I hope that you guys can learn from it and try to be better as well. In the game, it's extremely fun. Queen here, king f8, question mark. Queen c8, okay, in the game. King g7, which is again a question mark move. Here, the better way to play is king f7, and now get on here again, right? And another knight beside the king here, and start checks instantly, right? So not taking the rook here, and making just the rook e8, and his pieces is out, and now it is our own king, which is in trouble, isn't it? So in the game, king here, b7, king h6. And somehow here, although black hadn't played something so precisely, he is still winning, since now the king here is temporarily safe, and the king e2 now will start to be really exposed. In the game, queen e8. So guys, always remember that when nothing happened, always trying to bring your pieces out to the game. So here in the game, black made a serious mistake. If you play this one here, for instance, I think white can basically now resign. It is coming next, and the king here is in huge trouble. In fact, you need to give, like, I would say, an immense amount of material defense against the mid here. What we want is weak here to this one, and here queen d3, and mid soon follows. So here, this one is then crushing. Not only defend the knight here on b8, we'll also bring rook here out as well, and then I think it is over for white, tbh. In the game, queen b2 was play, which I will give it 2 question mark. Since one knight here is just finishing the game right away, In the game, b1, great. Queen e5, king d1, wrong. Always make sure to run your king to safety. Don't put your king in center, These things are so vulnerable and can be chased around so generous. I mean, so easily, honestly, I don't know why I say that. So here, this one, right? And this one here will get you in safety, and then you get some more chance to swing those. As you know, this one is called castles by hand. It's by hand, and you will find here for sure. In the game, so king d1, checks here, f3. Somehow you see, right? Suddenly you're fine. Suddenly you're fine here. Now, there are some nice ideas here, and the knight is under attack, right? Queen c5, look at the knight here, and knight here, the knight as well. And suddenly, there's no change, right? And this is white, who can better right now, which is very awkward. The only move here is 97. It's on the move here. I will explain why very, very soon. In the game, black made a horrendous blunder. Knight a6, 2 exclamation mark. Okay, so anybody can tell me here why this is such a bad move? Why to play? Let's go. Black just made a horrendous blunder here, which white can exploit instantly. No. If possible, always go for the king. In the game, he only go for this one as well, which is also super bad, but this one is made. See, right? Like, the game ended all of a sudden. You see, right? Knight control g3 here, g5 I mean, and the king now suddenly has nowhere to go. And mate. See that? So that's why knight d7 here is a must. He must control his play here, and black is to hang on. So you can play here still. It's not the way. And the game I think now is good for white. Right? In the game here, now things get extremely wrong. And that's why here, you know, for us and for everybody here who can hear me, when you're trying to calculate the moves and think about like only possible choice, always look for checks and own possible stuff. This is the miss here. Queen a7, 2 question mark again. Knight c5. Okay, so now here it's not easy. Your queen can check here honestly, and things now is not that fun. There is a way to play for win here, which is rook b5, which in the game he missed. But this is not so simple, so don't blame him for that. So we got the pin, right? And with the pin here, we can win the knight on c5. The only way to play for black is queen d5, you know? But then, we once again get the typical defense. Knight d2 exclamation mark. See, right? This defense here is very good here. And then, as you can see, it allows you to try to stop chess here, right? Your king now is safe. And as you can see, the knight now is hanging. And you can take the knight back, and only white can go to win the game. It rotates the knight, then the queen is trapped. Obviously that's the case, but I think the queen can go here with checks. But you can have here, and you're still fine with that, you know. Queen here, not so easy. This one is actually deserved an exclamation mark here. This one is not too bad, but Celeste doesn't do things. Knight e4. Okay. Another one here. Sadly, you played rook b5 too late. Here, queen e3. It's gonna be winning for you, right? Win a knight here, and now it is completely winning. Knight g5 allowed h4, you know, and now this is devastating. Let's take a look at the black pieces. Oh my goodness. Knight here allowed here, right? And this knight is falling next. And now black is completely tied up. This is super terrible right here. Oh my gosh. You see it, right? So, the only thing I can say in this level of chess is that trying to play on, don't resign, always look for checks and for tricks. In the game, knight e4, 2, question mark obviously, rook b5. Suddenly it is, if you place one move earlier, you are fine, right? But just one move late, things changed dramatically. Knight c3, yes. Suddenly here, instead of winning material, you will lose another rook. Oh gosh. So damn unfortunate. In the game, so queen d2, yes, and now it is fully dead for you. h3, knight e7, okay. g4, it is not working anymore. Sadly it is. You don't have enough material here. I guess the best way to play is like queen f6 here, which I think give you stay in the game, but they can play queen d5 though and rook e8 here when you can go simple, right? But who knows? I think this is the only way to try here, but still, this is losing. In the game, g4, for this one, which is not too bad. 6, knight d4. Yes, this one can end the game. Sadly, that is. Like king e3 can be played here, or king e2, but you would doubt so much material, right? So now it is not working anymore. King e3, just like rook e8 here, and now knight f5, knight c8, knight c6 here, even knight g8 here, leads to a loss for you, isn't it? In game, knight d4 was played. With the knight, a little bit imprecise. I mean, queen e4 here can trade right away, right? So simplifications here works easier for him. d3 checks, rook b8, Okay, so it's winning here. So let's take a look here, and I want to see the finish of the game. 3, 5. How could this be a draw though? Somehow just draw this game. It makes no sense to me though. Let's take a look here. H4. Okay, good move. Queen d5. King d3. I mean, let's imagine playing d5, right? It's a mate here. Imagine that. Was in the game, this was play takes e7, king e2. Oh my gosh! I mean, here is completely losing. So whatever. Queen e2 checks. b3. How can you survive here? It is an insane thing. How can you survive here? King e4. Queen a4 checks. Take here. g4. Okay, now you lose everything here. g5. This is over for sure though. Knight b4. Okay. Knight d3. King e2. Queen e3. f1. This is mid here. It's mid here right away. And instead in the game. Wow. Perfect. I mean, I would say this is a perfect finish of a game. I mean, this is a perfect finish of this game, you know? Like a very back and forth game where both sides got some winning chances. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, this is like the only way though. This one as well, obviously, but wow, like, fighting this team is not easy too. Like, he found a way to mess the game up here, which is impossible, honestly speaking. But still though, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, so this is a nice game. It's a nice game, honestly. First of all, thank you to us for sending me this game. I mean, it's not a high-level game, but you can see, right? There are many things to talk through about openings a little bit, about, like, you know, the way for white to exploit the, I mean, initiative in development, for white to somehow get a chance to mate here as well with Queen f8 earlier, right? And then we find here earlier as well. Black was winning, obviously, in the whole game, but then he messed it up in the end with a very fun stalemate, you know? And it doesn't even go well. I think so. I think that somehow in the game, so to sum it up for you guys who can hear me and who can see the game, I will give you guys some of the advices and lessons throughout the games. First of all, avoid this thing in the opening. This thing here can keep the squares unnecessarily weakened, and it's not a fun thing to try. Second, this kind of move with tempo here may not be too strong in the openings, since black can also defend it easily as well. So that's why, like, you should not like looking for that all the time, but only play that when it is beneficial. Third, if you see that you are better developed, always trying to finish your development fast and trying to go for the attack. That's why I always say that one of the most important principles in openings is to finish like the development early, right? Castling early and get the pieces ready for the game. In the game, so black went for the pawn, which is understandable, but sadly it is against the rules, right? But then in the game, white somehow went for a wrong plan, clicking here, right? When then the attack here is not enough. So another thing here is simple. If you couldn't find something so special, don't go for some kind of attack right away, especially when it can be so hard to calculate to the end. This one here is that, you know, always be looking for checks, you know, if possible. You see, right? Somehow in the game here, if while for checks here, he can be able to swing the game in a very certain way. You see? It's a good thing to know as well. And that is also very important too. And in general, here in the game was some chance to win, but then he messed it up, and now that we find here, just simply get him in trouble. And the last thing here, obviously, is how can Black manage to stomach you here. It's just insane. So when you are winning here, you get plenty of times. Make sure stay away from the king here. I mean, here, in fact, the simplest way here to win is just like to put the knight away, Say here, like super away. Make sure you don't go something crazy and go for here, 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 here. But oh gosh, this is an insane finish. This is an insane finish. Okay, so that is the end of the game though. You understand the game, right? Any questions for the game? I hope that you guys can understand the game. I would say this is a very typical game of internet level. Not too precise, but really worth a review, right? Really worth reviewing and really worth taking a look with that. But that's why here I think this is very nice, and in general, I think we can all learn from this. Not only you, not only like to us in the game, but everybody too. Since there's some lessons about principles, about things we can benefit from it. Sure? Well, I mean, this is only game. I will only do one game per day. I will try to do like 2 to 3 games per week, so that you guys can learn things better and can try to, learn more things in the games. So obviously, I hope that you guys can learn from my analysis and can be like learning a lot and benefit things here. To sum it up here, let's show you the engine's thought. 64% for white and 60% for black. And you can see here a chaotic game where both players have a chance to win. See that? So, a very close game. I hope you guys can learn from it. I see no questions here, so we just stop the videos. Hope you guys can learn and can enjoy this series. The video will be uploaded very, very shortly. I think like maybe a couple hours after this. So, love all of you and see you in another video later on. Goodbye.